So hi, welcome to the third video in the magic formula for cold calling success, and this one is about the L's. 3 ways of listening to your customer. Really important to take this on board because not everyone is a good listener. The first way in which you can make sure you listen well is by asking questions. Now, unless you ask questions, you will end up doing most of the talking and not listening. Because if you're not asking them questions, they're not talking. They're not answering them. Now, when you're cold calling, you need to find out about the potential worth of this particular prospect that you're talking to. And in order to do that, you have to ask them questions. But more importantly, as I said, you need to listen to what they are saying. You also need to build a rapport and seem interested in them and not in yourself. So, once again, to do that, you've got to ask questions. Okay, so let me give you another way of looking at this. If you've ever had a conversation with somebody and they ask you a question which is related to what you're talking about, then you know they're actively listening to what you're saying. If, however, they just throw a random question at you that is unrelated, then you might question if they're listening to what you're saying. So, ask questions, make them relative to and make them relevant and in response to what they're saying, and keep them talking, because if you keep them talking, you can get more information and understand how valuable this prospect is for you. Now, point 1 actually leads on nicely to point 2, which is don't use a script. You should be engaging in a conversation based on what your prospect is saying and not what you think they should be saying or what you should be asking based on your generic script. Scripts tend to make salespeople think more about what they are going to say next or what they should be saying next, rather than focus on what's being said right there and then by the prospect. Good sales techniques involve being able to listen hard and extract the information that will then help you to control the flow of that conversation. If you need a script to do this, then you're not trained properly to sell. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Scripts are for actors, not salespeople, because it only works when both parties in the dialogue have a copy of that script, and your prospects don't. So dump the script. And the third L in listening, how to listen well, is by taking notes. Taking notes helps you to be in the call. If they're on the other end of your call, then you should be totally in that call and not in your surroundings. Also, don't wait till after the call, no matter how good you think your memory is. If you're active in your role, you will not remember everything that everybody said in each and every single call, and therefore you might miss some crucial information. Let me tell you a true story about a consultant who I saw for an injury. It was just a follow-up consultant visit, and a few weeks after that visit, I called because I was supposed to have another follow-up. And when I called the trauma team, they told me that actually I was discharged based on a conversation that I had with the consultant. And then I asked them, they read out the notes. I said, well, that's actually not what happened. And very quickly they did reinstate me into the system. But the point here is that, which I later learned, is that that consultant waited till the end of the day to write up all the notes and got confused between one patient and another. This is not a good thing, especially in the medical industry, but it's really not a good thing for cold calling either. So, when you're talking to people, a lot of people, about similar things all the time, it's so easy to get your notes mixed up. So take notes as you are speaking to that person. It's not rude. They're really not going to mind. And if you think things are going too fast for you to be able to make notes, then just ask them. I always say things like, that's really important. Do you mind if I just quickly take a note? Or just, give me a second, I'm just going to write that down so I don't forget it. Things like that show them that you're actually listening as well. It shows that you're engaged in what they're saying and that what they're saying has some importance to you. All right? Remember, notes also are joggers, memory joggers. They're not transcripts, so don't think you have to sit there writing every single word down. A lot of people say to me, I don't take notes because I don't have time and it's too long, or I can't type really well. It doesn't matter. Draw pictures, do whatever you have to do to give you the joggers, hieroglyphics, I don't care. Another fact you should know, and which you might already know, is the more ways in which your brain can take in information is the more likely you are to remember it. So if you're writing it down whilst you're repeating it in your head or whilst you're listening to it, then you are more likely to remember that information. So that's the 3 L's to listening. The final video that I'm going to release on this is the Y, and that stands for you. So I will speak to you very shortly with the last part of the magic formula to successful cold calling.